Thanks for staying with us. We'll be starting the newspaper reviews with The Nation. Major headline, ministerial stewardship by Badaru, Wike, Alake, and others. Lamido Sanusi reinstated as Kano Emir. 5 emirs sacked, injunction stops return. Nans, Nows, Naptan, others hail student loan. Scramble for slots begin as portal opens. Alleged 5.8 billion fraud. Court fixes May 28 for Sirika's brother's trial. What stories do we have in The Nation?
Major headline, I've got ministers yesterday gave accounts of their stewardship since the assumption of office, August 21st, 2023. So the ministerial scorecard session started Wednesday. Yesterday was the turn of Minister of Defense, Mohammed Badaru, Minister of the FCT, Wike, Solid Minerals, and that's Minister of Solid Minerals, Dele Alake, Minister of Steel Development, Ministers of Youth Development, and Minister of State Petroleum. So Badaru says military has neutralized 9,303 terrorists, bandits, and criminals within the 1 year of this administration. He said over 6,000 terror suspects have been arrested, over 4,000 hostages rescued, over 9,000 Boko Haram, ISWAP fighters and their families surrendered. According to him, 20 bandits and terrorist commanders have been neutralized, and so on and so forth. The FCT minister also highlighted that his ministry has constructed about 120-kilometer roads in the 6 area councils to help tackle banditry, and then the roads will be inaugurated on Monday. The minister also highlighted the establishment of FCT Service Commission, the Women's Secretariat, the FCT's exit from Treasury single account as the TSA. And then, we had the defense minister as well. He says, apart from the rescue of 245 kidnapped victims, troops have denied oils of over 91 million, liters of stolen crude and so forth. So many things, that we've heard. And then he also said that the Kaduna-Abuja highway is now safer due to the work that they have been doing, on land, the Nigerian Navy as well, with arrested vessels and criminals on the high seas as well. So it looks like so far so good for those who have been speaking, and then we'll see as, keeps going.
All right, any other story?
The former Minister for Aviation and his brother, a worker in the Federal Ministry of Water Resources, and 2 companies, Engineers Nigeria Limited and Samaha Integrated Investment Limited, were all arraigned on fraud charges yesterday, 10-count charges. 10-count query. So the courts, after looking into all the applications from the defending lawyer and the prosecuting lawyer, granted them bail, adopting the one a previous court had given, where the minister was asked to sign a bail bond of 100 million, produce 2 sureties with properties in Abuja, and not travel outside the country without first obtaining a court permission upon filing formal application. Of course, he pleaded not guilty to the fraud charges. Brother said plead not guilty. Court now entered not guilty for the companies. And so trial proper is starting. We're looking where the matter will end.
So when you plead guilty, does it sort of
straight
to
judgment?
Oh, to judgment. Oh, okay.
But when you plead not guilty, you have to
once start looking for evidence.
Yes. Come and show why
you're guilty. Okay.
All right.
So we have students, parents, and other stakeholders have hailed the federal government for its commitment to making education accessible to all. They spoke ahead of today's opening of the Student Loan Scheme portal. The opening was delayed following the review of the Student Loan Act by the National Assembly. Parents and everybody, they are super excited about this so that kids that the parents can afford their school fees right now can actually apply for those loans. Those who lauded the scheme include the National Association of Nigerian Students, the National Association of University Students, students in universities across the country, the parent body, National Parent Teacher Association of Nigeria, NAPTAN. The Senate President, the non-Senate President, Abba Yusuf, said that the initiative is a great one and called on students to take the opportunity to ease the current educational expenses to pave way for future financial stability. They also said that they also called for a user-friendly interface for students to submit their loan applications and for the whole application process to be a seamless one. Let the portal be more accessible, easily accessible to students, so that the system does not crash, because they said that a lot of people will be trying to use the system at the same time to get slots. Although some of the students have some reservations, they are praying and saying that they hope that there won't be a case of nepotism or favoritism in the system, that let it be a free and fair, based on merit, yes, and let it be accessible to everybody. Some of the students are also asking for a longer period to pay the loan, because what the government has said is that when you take the loan, so you have to start paying back 2 years after NYSC. Yes, and after you have a gainful employment. Some of them are saying that most people might not want to be gainfully employed. They might want to start a business, and it takes a little bit of while for you to start making money from a business, so that the government should consider that. But all in all, this is such an amazing initiative by the government. Kudos to them.
Yes, so the Lagos State government has hinted of plans to establish the Lagos State Essential Medicines Agency, LSEMA, to ease the management and distribution of essential medicines within the state. So the Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, was the one who stated this during an ongoing ministerial press briefing to mark the first year of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's second term in office. Now, according to the professor, he said the initiative is also a response to the federal government's mandate for every state to set up Drug Management Agency, DMA, to combat drug scourge. He said this agency is designed to address significant challenges in the supply chain by introducing a structured and technologically driven approach to the procurement, storage, and distribution of health commodities. The LSEMA is being established in response to the inefficiencies observed in the existing drug supply chain, which includes poor inventory management, inadequate staffing, and suboptimal financial performance. The agency aims to overhaul the system by implementing a centralized framework that ensures the quality, available, and timely delivery of health commodities across the state. And they're also saying they're going to be using a lot of technology to also ensure that there's seamless, discharge and distribution of medicines across the state. Let's move on now to the Punch. Major headline: 750 houses for demolition as property owners allege poor compensation. Tinubu to flag off Project Sunday, ministry to demolish buildings based on Gazette. Kano Emirates, Governor reinstates Sanusi after 4-year deposition as Assembly sacks Emir. Yusuf orders deposed Emirs to vacate official residence. Palace in 48 hours. IOCs to invest $20 billion in Nigeria, according to the federal government. 50 firms may produce military weapons locally, by the minister. 19.4 billion fraud. Sirika brother gets 200 million bail. Grandma buries 17-year-old daughter's newborn alive. NNPC partners deploy electric vehicle charging stations. Let's take one story before we go on a break.
So I have the ASU story. President Tinubu has responded to ASU, and so I don't think they need to go on a protest. According to the President's Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, the President has sanctioned the appointment of 555 individuals to serve as pro-chancellors, chairmen, members of the governing boards for 111 federal universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education based on the list compiled by the Minister of Education. So you remember that ASU was protesting that why would this list be coming from the Ministry of Education, but the President has sanctioned that and then asked for a review following this protest and the backlash from ASU, as well as the Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics, and is directing that there should be a complete review of the list and the members of the governing councils, and as an acknowledgement to the protest. Also, he has asked that the planned inauguration for and retreat for these already appointed nominees put on hold. He's also mandated a review of the recently announced governing boards for the universities and federal polytechnics. He says that the nomination did not reflect the federal character of the country, and some states got just one nomination, whereas some other states got multiple nominations. So they must do it to reflect the federal character. Also, it must be done as will be pleasing to all parties. This is very welcoming.
All right, we'll be taking a breather here. When we come back, the newspaper reviews continue. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. We're still reviewing The Punch. Who else has a story?
Oh, this is sad. The grandmother of a 17-year-old girl, identified simply as Favor, has buried her daughter's newborn baby alive in Ogombo, area of Ajah, Lagos State. This is terrible. Punch Metro gathered that when the grandmother observed that the teenager had got pregnant, she became angry and did everything possible to hide the pregnancy from the public. Even when asked by her neighbors when they suspected that the 17-year-old girl was pregnant, she refuted the claims. She kept tying the girl's tummy. She kept isolating the child. So the 17-year-old girl said she had the baby by herself in the restroom. And then she rushed and called the mom because after having the child, she didn't know what else to do. And the mom told her she was coming, took the baby from her and left. And the next thing, the woman came back and told her that the child didn't survive. But neighbors now raised alarm. And then they found out that she buried the child alive and the child had died, yes. And so the police is on the matter. This is so wicked. And the girl said that there were people that were interested in adopting the child. And people are looking for babies. How do you even do that? Even if you don't want the child, give it out for adoption. Why do you kill?
I have a story. So NNPCL, Shafa Energy and Nigers on Thursday commenced the deployment of electric vehicle charging points at filling stations in Nigeria. So it's a tripartite arrangement. They signed a memorandum of understanding amongst them. So they say that Nigers is the original equipment manufacturer. They'll work with NNEL, that's a subsidiary of NNPC, to supply this equipment. Then Shafa Energy will provide the outlets for the deployment of the charging stations. So all cars, as long as they're electric cars, they can charge. And it's solar powered, so it does not need any. They said as long as there's the sun, they'll be able to charge. So hopefully we see, a widespread of these charging points and charging stations across.
And reduce our issue of fuel, looking for fuel all the time. Exactly. So the Minister of Works, David Umahi, has disclosed that 750 houses that are on the path of the Lagos-Calabar Coast Highway have been marked for demolition. He revealed this during a meeting with stakeholders in Lagos yesterday, and he said if we go by the new alignment, 490 houses would be demolished. Also following the Gazette alignment, 750 houses would be demolished. There is no change of alignment. We are following the gazetted alignment. There would, however, be realignment at Okwaja area of the state by 25 kilometers to avoid damaging submarine cables. Now, landlords of the affected properties were displeased with the government's compensation, saying that it did not even match their investment. Umahi went ahead to say that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been invited to flag off the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. He said, and I quote, "The President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has been invited to flag off the coastal highway on Sunday, May 26, 2024. And according to the minister, the coastal highway would boost tourism. The new corridor is going to have befitting tourism centers, and the land is going to be made available by relevant departments of government, and Nigerians will be opportune to leverage that. Then when external funding comes from outside, it's also going to reduce our inflation and strengthen the Naira. So the partnership of the federal government is 30% commitment, and we have not exceeded that in terms of local funding commitment of the federal government. This was, part of what he explained. But there were 10 property owners who were compensated during a question and answer session with the minister. But some other residents and property owners were saying that the money does not even cover what they had invested there, that it was just not funny at all, and it was just too small. And he says the compensation is grossly inadequate, and there is a need for the government to review the payment so that at least they will have, they will be given time. Some are saying that they need to be given time to sort of still use their equipment a bit. There was a particular property owner who had just started his business. He said about 4 years ago, he had invested so much and he needed time. He's not saying that the government should pause on their demolition, but he just needed time to sort of recoup on his investment a bit before they get to his area. So let's move on now to the Daily Sun. Major headline, Kano Agog as deposed Sanusi returns as Emir. Governor Yusuf reinstates former CBN governor, signs into law bill. Abolishing 4 newly created Emirate councils. Northern elders express worry over tension. caution politicians. WAEC seeks federal government governors, IGPs help to conduct exams in the Southeast. Worried over IPOP threats to stop exams will sit at home on May 30. Asset declaration, CCB goes after 3 ex-governors, 9 former ministers, assets to be forfeited and confiscated. Tinubu directs comprehensive review of governing boards of tertiary institutions. Police abduct another journalist in Abuja. He's with us in Ugu Commander. Ebonyi farmer writes Tinubu laments food insecurity, demands subsidy to farmers. National Assembly moves to return old national anthem. Reps pass bill to reintroduce it. Scale second reading in the Senate. Federal lawmakers say current anthem forced on Nigerians by military. Oh. Let's maintain zoning arrangements of political offices, Abdul Salami advises. Nigerians living in difficult, challenging times, according to the Sultan. 14.4 billion fraud. Ex-aviation minister Sirika brother gets 100 million bail. Nigeria facing existential crisis by Bode George. What stories do we have in?
I have in Kano State. Okay. Kano is agog, they say, as the deposed Sanusi returns. So commendations have trailed the return of Alhaji Muhammad Sanusi to the saddle as Emir of Kano for 4 years. 4 years after he was deposed. The Governor of Kano State, Abba Yusuf, announced his reinstatement after consulting with the kingmakers of the Emirate Council as prescribed by tradition. Mid-2019, the House of Assembly in Kano State had approved the amendments of the Kano State Emirate Council, which paved way for the emirate to be divided into 5. They said that the legislation was actually conceived to whittle down the power of the Emir of Kano. And so the past governor, Ganduje, signed the bill into law. And that's how Kano was divided into 5 Emirs: Kano, Rano, Gaya, Bichi, and the Emirs were appointed into each emirate. So in 2020, Ganduje deposed Sanusi as Emir of Kano, as you all remember. They say at the time was for total disrespect to lawful instructions from the office of the governor. Anyways, as of yesterday, the current governor said that appointments that were made in accordance with the repealed Kano Emir Council Law have been voided. He has specifically declared that the 5 emirs, the appointments have been repealed and they have been relieved of their positions and ranks, and they've been asked to vacate their offices and palaces in 48 hours, hand over all official property belonging to the Emirs to the Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs. The governor, also said that for him that this would bring peace and prosperity back to Kano State, and that it was also part of his campaign that he was going to restore the rich culture, the lost glory, and the rich cultural heritage of the state. And so with this is what he has done. And he has asked his people to please go about their normal duties, and, Kano is better for this.
Congratulations to the people of Kano, to the Emir, Muhammad Sanusi, because I am a fan.
You are.
So I have the Code of Conduct Bureau, which is now waking up from their ghosts, and they are doing what they call a marathon investigation into 3 former governors, 9 former ministers, 14 former legislators, 17 former heads of parastatals at both federal and state levels, including local government chairmen, who are under investigation for alleged graft offenses. So, according to a commissioner that opened mouth to the Daily Sun, he said a letter of invitation has been sent out to everybody mentioned, and immediately for them to immediately report to the CCB headquarters to face the consequences. And they have also been given this opportunity to clarify whatever mistakes they made in the asset that they declared. So the CCB, of course, is the body empowered by law to unravel or investigate government officials and whatever asset they had prior to office, after office. And so they say that the humongous bank accounts and some, explained buildings as well as companies are some of the reasons they are now partnering with their sister bodies, the ICPC as well as the EFCC, to do the needful.
Okay.
So WAEC has written the federal government and Inspector General of Police on the threat of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, to disrupt the ongoing nationwide examination for May, June 2024 in schools in the Southeast. There was a warning given to them through its director of publicity, Emir Powerful, who said that they should not continue with the exam, which was supposed to be general mathematics for that day, and that the Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka, should also hold its convocation ceremony for that day. So the schools, the WAEC body, it's saying that they cannot write the general mathematics in other states and then not hold it and not do it in the other 5 Southeast states, because then the exams might leak. So I'm just suggesting that maybe they just move the date to another date.
You mean the exams?
For the exams, because...
Why would the exams be the ones moving?
Because,
is it not a...
No, because IPOB, if they are doing sit at home now, it's going to be chaotic. Of course, they'll come there and scatter everything. So at the end of the day...
They need to pick a hustle for the sake of their people.